Hello everybody and welcome. Please do not adjust your set, do not touch that dial, and definitely do not skip along 5 minutes in the video to try and find out what it is that I've got. And absolutely please don't look at the comment section just yet. Please give me 5 minutes because there's a little bit of housekeeping that I need to do first. I have rehearsed this speech in my head 100 different times. I have shot it today from about 3 different angles and you're probably going to get a little bit of all of them. And I'm going to try and deliver this speech to you in the way that I want it to be delivered. This is a big day for me, a really, really big day. And I have to start it with an apology. I want to apologize for not really having involved any of you sooner. The simple fact is this: I was very unsure as to whether I could actually make this happen or not at all. Now there's no clickbait in this video. The car I'm talking about is right over there. I like to think of myself as the YouTuber that I'd want to be rather than trying to be the YouTubers that I see all the time. And part of that means not taking you through a series of half a dozen different videos looking at cars that I know full well I'm never ever going to buy. And so I'm sorry that you didn't get that content if you even wanted it anyway. Now, the truth is that the journey that brought me to this particular car started, in some ways, 23 years ago when I saw it presented by Jeremy Clarkson on one of his special VHS tapes. VHS tape that I occasionally watch now, albeit on DVD. I started actually looking for something special as soon as I sold my Lotus Evora 400 a couple of years ago. It was an amazing, brilliant car and I loved having it, and there's a lot about that car that I still miss to this very day. And so ever since that car went, I've been trying to think what could truly replace it, because although there were cars that came after, nothing, as far as I'm concerned, has really been a direct successor to that car. It hasn't occupied the same place on my driveway as the Lotus has. And so now I do have something. But like I said, there are a few people that need thanking, a few people that got me here. I want to thank people like Sam, my first ever cameraman, the guy there behind the lens of my first ever video. Laurie, a chap who became not just another camera chappie, but also a brilliant friend and someone I'm still close to this very day. Now, he doesn't appear on the channel very much anymore because we've kind of gone our own ways in the YouTube world, but that doesn't mean we don't talk to each other and we don't still have some great times, or at least we will when we're allowed to. My buddy James Dean for all of his help. My buddy Michael, who helped me go and get the car and has been a great assistance on many other videos as well as lending me some items from his personal car collection to film and bring to you all as well. I also need to say a thank you to people like James Johnson, who's my marketing manager at 4-Stroke Media. Now, I don't really talk about him very often, but he needs a big old thank you. Thank you, James. Thank you. Because you see, he's been pushing me over the last sort of 6 to 9 months to really aim higher, to do better, and to realise what it is that I guess I am worth, to realise what it is that I have built. And without him, I wouldn't have many of the brand deals that I have now. And I'm also very, very lucky in that he's great with choosing brands that align with what it is that I want to do. I've been offered in the past so many different things to do and to promote that I have turned down because they simply don't line up with what the channel is, or they want me to be someone that I'm just not. And so I'm very thankful to him for organising those things. For example, this video has been kindly brought to you by Adrian Flux, the insurance company. Now, they aren't really a specialist because they will insure essentially anything. There are a few different areas that they're very good at. For example, I used to have my Lotus XL insured with them. Very good, very professional, and most importantly, they're proper petrol heads. They have a lot of presence on social media. I've even been down and helped judge at the car show that they host. Now, they are really nice people and they don't make any requests of me. All they've asked me to say is tell you what they do. That's it. And then they give me some money for it. And that's the kind of relationship that I want. The kind of relationship that enables me to be true to myself, but also afford to do the odd silly thing. Also need to say a massive thank you to Daryl at HOLMESDALE, my finance guy. This is the 30th car that I've ever bought, but the first I've ever put onto finance. And I want to say something really super important that I don't think gets said enough on YouTube, certainly not in the car YouTube world. I spent a very long time making sure that financing this car was the right thing to do for me. It was going to be affordable, even in worst case scenario, and that it made a lot of sense. We spent 6 months agonizing over this decision, and Daryl's been very helpful and also very realistic. He would not push anybody into doing something that they couldn't afford. In fact, I know he does the opposite. Now, he is of course required to do that, but I know a lot of finance people that aren't so good with doing what they're meant to do. So a big thank you to him, and also to Nick, the owner of this car, who made picking up my first one of these a very special experience. You see, I started looking for something big at about Christmas time, and I was pretty much ready to pull the trigger in March, and then the world changed. And that meant I had to ask a lot of questions of myself. Would I still be able to afford this car? What was going to happen to me personally as a result of everything that happened? There's been a lot of other stuff that's happened in the last few weeks as well. A lot of unrest, a lot of difficult times, and all sorts of things like that. And I've then spent a long time thinking, is this the right thing for me to have? And I started to really worry. I'll be completely honest. I started worrying whether I'd done the wrong thing. Not because I couldn't afford it or anything like that. I started worrying that, was this socially the right thing to do? Was this morally the right thing to do? How is this going to be received? What were you all going to think of me? And I started tearing myself up about it. And, at one point I even thought, no, let's just quietly sell it, move on and just carry on. And then I thought, no. This channel, for me, as much as I know many of you, this is an escape. This is a way for me of getting away from all of the stresses of daily life. I mean, YouTube has changed my life. It really has. And I'm constantly receiving feedback from people that are going through difficult scenarios. We had a lot of that in the last couple of months. And they use my channel and others as a way of getting away from that. And so I decided that, no, I've got to share this with you all. It has to be done. This is important. This is important to me. And I hope that you really get something out of it, because I certainly do. And that really, of all the people I've got to thank, the most important person is you. Because, and I don't want to get too philosophical about this, you have changed my life for the better. 5 or 6 years ago, I did not wake up every morning a happy man. Quite the opposite in many cases. And then 4 years ago, I made the stupid decision to change what I did, to change my entire career. It was a bold move, it was a brave move, it was a foolish move, but ultimately it was one that paid off. Even when I wasn't making money from YouTube, I was very happy. I got to spend all day long talking nonsense about cars with like-minded people, and it was fabulous. I had my Lotus, which again was another source of constant enjoyment. And that's one reason I'm so happy to have something sort of special back on the driveway again, because even in the short time that I've had it, it's just brought me so much joy and so much magic, despite the fact that it is a very different car, as you'll see very soon. Genuinely, doing this makes me ecstatic all the time. And that was before I had this thing, before I had this. And now I just look at it and it's both my carrot and my stick. Because, it's a reward, but also it's an encouragement to keep going. Because if I want to keep it, if I want to keep using it, if I want to keep putting petrol in it, I'm going to have to keep working. And trust me, this is not changing the channel. This is not changing me. This is just more. This is just me kicking it up a gear. Nothing has changed. If you're worried that this is going to mean that the content is not going to be the same as it was, please stop worrying right about now. This is just a treat, okay? This is just something that I love. I've wanted one of these. I've wanted to go in one of these for 23 years. When I show you this car, I want you to see it exactly how I saw it. Now, actually, to be fair, the car's nowhere near as clean as when I picked it up because I've been using it. But I want you to hear and feel what I did when I saw this car. There's a lot of people that are not going to get what's about to happen, but for those of you that do, I hope you enjoy it. All right, let's get it done. I still cannot quite believe that I'm about to say this, but this is my 1999 Ferrari 550 Maranello. I cannot really, truly put into words how this car makes me feel. I have lusted after one for 23 years, and I really should let you into a secret. Because of everything that's going on in the world right now, the first ever time I got to drive a 550 was after I bought it. I put a lot of faith into the opinions of others on this one, and I have to say, if anything, they have undersold it. But in truth, in absolute, complete and total truth, even if it wasn't that great to drive, I'd still be massively happy with it. This is my unicorn car. I genuinely didn't think I'd be able to find a car quite like this. Now, there's going to be a lot of other videos, of course, talking about it in more detail, but you'll want to know some of the important stuff. So, it's in my perfect colour combination of Rosso, Corsa, and there'd been plenty of other colours I'd have been happy to have, but I do think the 550 wears Rosso very well, with cream leather interior and Bordeaux carpets. That 5 or 6 years ago, I would have just gone for red on black and been quite happy, but no, Rosso, Corsa, Bordeaux, perfection. But you see, the thing about 550s, they're still very, very expensive. Most of them far more expensive than I can afford. And that's where this one comes in. No, it isn't a write-off or anything, it's just been used. This one now has about 95,000 miles on the clock, which is brilliant. That's exactly what it was designed for. This was Ferrari's real Grand Tourer. And any Grand Tourer, of course, any old school Grand Tourer, should have a nice big V12 engine up front, which, in case you didn't know, this one certainly does. That's where the 550 name comes from. It's 5.5 litre, dry sumped, titanium alloy conrodded V12 engine. It is an utter and total masterpiece. And come on, let's be honest here. This is one of the most beautiful engine bays there have ever been. Stunning, isn't it? And it gets better at the back. In fact, I think the back is possibly this car's greatest angle, but every single place that I look at on this car, it gets just a little bit prettier. Now, it's not the prettiest Ferrari. In fact, I think the 355 available at the same time was a bit prettier. But this car really ticked all the boxes for me. I love my GT cars, but I also wanted a two-seater. And as you're probably all wondering about this, if you didn't know, all 550s are manual. This is a V12 two-seater manual Ferrari from what I think is one of the high points in Ferrari history, the late 90s. They were absolutely on fire. And yeah, sure, this is not a perfect car. The switches have all gone sticky, and I'll get Dave at Sticky RX to sort those out. There's a few little cosmetic bits that need sorting, but this car has been very, very well looked after. Most surprisingly, its first owner actually used it as properly intended. He put 60,000 miles on this car in 3 years. And ever since then, the owners have been real caring, proper enthusiasts. And the chap I bought this from, I know turned down offers better than the one that I could make, but he sold it to me because, unlike everybody else, I promised that I would drive it. And in fact, one of the things I wanted to do before I even showed this car to you all was to do something a little bit silly. I took this car on a track day. Yep, I took my classic 1999 Ferrari on a track day. The second track day of the year after, things kind of went back to normalish, with open track at Brands Hatch. So thanks to Dave and the guys there. Very good people to do a track day with. And I'll be honest, it's a terrible, terrible track car, but I got some nice photos out of it. Now, you may have noticed that the number plate is a little bit blurry. That's because this is on a private plate still. DVLA are on a bit of a go slow, and that plate is going to be returned to its owner, and I want to just, keep that private for him. So it has got a plate that's going to go on it. That'll get its own video. I've already got the plate. I've had the plate for some time to go on here. I love this car. Absolutely love it. There is, of course, going to be a lot of content coming on it, but as I promised, this is not going to change the channel. This is simply going to add to it. I've got a lot of stuff coming from this car. Anything you want to know about it, please put your questions in the description down below, and I will try and address as many of them as I can. And I promise this car is going to be used, this car is going to be loved, and most importantly, this car is going to be shared through all the different ways that I can, because that is what great cars are all about. And this, I think, is a truly great car. 23 years ago, Jeremy Clarkson said that this was the best handling car in the world. And I gotta be honest, I was worried, because I've driven a 456, and the 456 and this are very, very similar. And the 456 is a good handling car, but not a great one. This is rather magnificent, but that's for the video where I drive and review this, and that's already coming up. I'm going to film that later on today. For now, that really is all I've got time for. No, I'm sorry, I can't take it out for a drive. Only kidding. Let's go. So what's it like to drive? Oh, look, this is not really a numbers car. In its day, it may have been, but now, if you're looking for performance for price, it doesn't make any sense at all. However, this is one of those cars that I don't care. It's not the fastest. It's definitely not the most fuel efficient, but it is just so incredibly special. That's one thing that really surprised me, is the fact that when you go through old reviews of the car, they'll all tell you that these don't really make any noise at all. Well, this is on the standard exhaust, and it's not silent. Truthfully though, this car is just such a joy to drive. I'm collecting my thoughts now. It's been a week since I've actually driven this, because I've been away working, and I'm about in a minute to sit down and record a review of this, because so little decent material is available out there for them. If you want to go and see a little bit more about the 550 before my own review comes out, the only really decent modern one that I can think of is the one that Harry Metcalf did. It's fantastic and comes from the perspective of a man that's done a hell of a lot of miles in 550s. In fact, his opinion of the car was the one really that swayed me to be brave and go for it, because I really do trust what that guy has to say. There's a lot of people that comment below saying that Harry and I are often channels that they watch, and clearly there's a bit of crossover between the two. Never actually spoken to Harry himself. I'd love to do a collaboration with him one day, so if anyone knows him, please do mention me to him. But this is a special thing. It's the little things that I never realised that really actually make this, like the fact that it actually makes some noise, but also that view out the front. It's utterly magnificent. You are constantly reminded that you are in something truly, properly special. The seats, they're not to all tastes, but I really do enjoy. I'm building up a list of things that I need to sort with the car, because, you know, it isn't perfect. Those switches, like I said, the horn doesn't seem to work. One of the adjusters on this seat is broken, so my driving position isn't as quite as good as I'd like it to be. But honestly, these are really, really small things. The important thing about the 550 is that it is absolutely everything that I'd hoped that it would be, and then a little more. Every time I see this car, I smile. And that really tells me, ultimately, I did the right thing. And I hope you agree. I'd love to see your comments down below. Thanks for watching. See you for the next one. Bye-bye.